I'm bored. Let's react to Pop Culture Crisis again. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting video. I don't think I've ever done anything like this before. I can't remember the last time I did this, like this reaction inception thing, because they're reacting to me and then I'm going to react to them. And maybe this ball will keep rolling downhill. I don't know. But this is something I don't think they've done either. They did a video. It's called Reacting to Some of Our Biggest Haters. Now, as far as I can tell, I'm the only person in this video. I kind of jumped through it to see. I think I'm the only person in the video. So when they say haters plural, I'm not really sure who else they're talking about, but maybe we'll find out. The other thing is my video is 32 minutes long. This video is 16. So unless they have me on some like sped up thing, I don't know how they could have gotten through the entire video. So they probably chopped it up. And I'm curious to see what parts they actually chopped out of my video. And if you didn't see that, it's the last video on my channel. The other thing is it was an underperforming video. It was one of the worst performing videos on my channel in a long time. Somehow this 160K plus channel stumbled onto one of my worst performing videos on a channel with less than 3K subscribers. I would say that's a little bit of its validity of my statements for them to go in like this. So that's kind of interesting. But let's go ahead. We're going to watch their video. And I am curious in this 16 minutes what they have to say about my response to them. Let's do it.
Now, I am really excited for this next segment. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of viewing, I think maybe one of the very first hate videos about our channel from a channel called Eric Debunks.
That's my channel. That's me. I don't even know if my video is like a hate video. It's more of a tongue-in-cheek video, but anyway, let's go.
It's titled Pop Culture Crisis, Outraged by Victoria's Secret Fashion Show, including trans models, Timcast Garbage. And this person's name.
So Timcast Garbage. Look, I want to remind everybody that this channel is funded by a Russian-funded person, allegedly, I guess. I don't know all the details of it, but Tim Pool was noted as being one of the, under Tenet Media, one of the people that was getting paid by Russia. So this is like downhill. This is the shit rolling downhill of that. So that's funny to me. Yeah, I mean, there's an incentive for these guys to do what they're doing because they're getting funded by Russia. So that's funny. Anyway, let's continue.
Is Eric, spelled Airrick. So your parents did you dirty.
Gosh, man. Yeah, no, I've always had people that thought it was a cool spelling. I did it because on the internet, the name Eric is very common and that spelling is very unique. But okay, you don't have to like it. But
we are going to react to this video and
first let's
not like debunk it. Like we're just going to laugh at it because it's
okay. So you're not going to debunk it. So it's just 15 minutes and some chains of you laughing at me. Or are you actually going to try and push back on what I'm saying? I'm very curious. I feel like if it's just laughing, you probably wouldn't have uploaded this video. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's hilarious, and the thumbnail.
The thumbnail's amazing.
The thumbnail is just incredible. Like chef's kiss.
That is my hair is fantastic.
How did Phil make it out of that unscathed?
Phil got out of it unscathed. That's all right.
Well, he didn't, because if you look at did you not notice? I guess they didn't notice. So I think his name is Brett here. You've got the clown hair. Whatever her name is, you've got the red nose. And Phil has the OF logo on his shirt. So I did it accordingly to what I was saying in the video. You're like, you two are the clowns and he's like selling VODs.
That's all right.
So it says these guys are the worst. They have a clown wig on Brett and a clown nose on me. Perfect. If you're listening rather than watching.
Well, you're saying they. And although I appreciate you considering pronouns, I am not non-binary, but I respect you respecting me. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Watching, but we're gonna play it and hear what Eric, who calls himself Bear Daddy Supreme,
correct,
has to say.
Okay. Yeah, it's an inside joke. You don't have to get it, but it's okay. Let's continue.
About our video on Victoria's Secret.
Here we go.
I'm bored, and for the first time ever, let's react to Pop Culture Crisis. Okay, like right at the beginning of the video, I say the first time ever, and somehow my first ever video about them puts me into their collection of biggest hater. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Okay, a little context of this video. Today, they're going to be talking about Victoria's Secret's fashion show and the inclusion of trans models as well as people of different shapes and sizes. So that being said, let's get into that.
The Victoria's Secret fashion show just came back from a long hiatus. They went on hiatus back in 2019 and finally decided to bring it back. Okay. And people were really hoping that this would be a return to form for the brand. They'd finally bring sexy back. And that is unfortunately not what happened. They missed.
I mean, the entire brand is built on sex appeal. True. People have been buying, like Victoria's Secret has been making stuff since their last fashion show. It's not like they just stopped making things. Like fashion show over, no Victoria's Secret stuff. That's not the way it works.
The fashion show was on hiatus, not the brand.
So bringing sexy back, like, I mean, visually, okay. I didn't say the brand was on hiatus. I was pointing out that you made it seem in your statement that bringing sexy back, to me, made it seem as if Victoria's Secret was not still making sexy things. And so I was pointing out that they were still making product, even though the fashion show wasn't around. So that was the point of my statement. Okay, maybe, but they've been making garments.
Wait, can we pause just a second? I'm not even bringing this up for no reason, but this guy, this YouTuber, he is gay, okay? Okay. So he does think himself an authority on sex appeal and what appeals to straight men despite being gay.
Where did I say that in this video? I made the video. I didn't say it in the video that you're reacting to. I didn't say it in this part that you're talking about right now. And I've never said that in any video that I've ever made. I've never said it on any podcast I've ever been in. I don't think I've even said it on social media. So what the fuck does that even mean? Are you trying to, like, are you assuming things about me? Or are you glazing your audience, preparing them to, I don't know, not believe what I'm saying in the video, to hold me at a different standard about what I say in the video because I say so many things that are accurate, and the only way that you can dismantle my argument is to make them believe that I have some position, that I hold a position that I don't actually hold. I've never said that. And I honestly, I don't even know any gay people personally. Anecdotally, I don't have any stories of somebody telling me that. Anyway.
We'll continue now.
Okay.
2018, since the last fashion show, which I believe was either 2018 or 2019.
Dudes. The mark again.
Dudes.
Well, dudes and women. I think that this was
hold on.
Dudes. The mark again.
Dude.
Brand.
Okay, so the guy saying this, a little bit of my gaydar is kicking in here. The guy that's saying
the gaydar
dudes is giving off like Rent Daddy vibes. Like he works in adult entertainment.
We're gonna tell Phil you said that.
Like that's the vibe it's giving. Go ahead. Like you pay for his VODs.
It's giving projection. His OF. Is what it's giving. That's what it's giving.
But like, how is it giving projection? How is it giving projection? I don't have an issue with people that work in adult entertainment. I don't have a problem with that. I actually work with people that work in adult entertainment. It's called a tongue-in-cheek comment. It's flavor text for the video. Yeah, he looked, to me, that's what he looks like. He looks like somebody that works in that industry. So it's kind of funny to me that he's being so phobic. That was the point of the joke, the flavor text there, is that someone that is giving those vibes is so adamantly against it. That was the point. But it went over your head. Like, this is the thing. When I'm making inside jokes that my community will get, you're not going to get them. You're not going to understand them because you're not trying to. Let's hear what he has to say here.
And it finally brings sexy back. And that is unfortunately not what happened. They missed the mark again.
Dudes.
Well, dudes and women. I think that this was the Victoria's Secret fashion show at its prime, appealed to both men and women because it was fun. It was glittery.
Okay, so men and women. So Victoria's Secret fashion show was something that was meant to appeal to men and women. Now, there was one portion of this video where I think she contradicts her own statement, but we'll see when we get there. I do remember her saying something that contradicts that when I was skimming through this.
All of the models were just seen smiling and giggling, and they had bouncy hair, and everything was just so girly, but it was also okay for women to be hot at the time in the 2000s. That is...
It's so weird. Okay for women to be hot. I don't know why this narrative is painted that people who are more progressive don't want to see attractive people. I think the thing is there was an unhealthy standard.
Remember when they
beauty.
put
We
out
saw this
that
with, like, America.
that article about the conservative hot girl trend and tried to like get a bunch of academics to explain why men find hot women hot?
Yeah.
All right, I had to pause there to go and look up a couple of articles on what she's talking about this conservative hot girl trend or whatever. And all I found was some stuff in reference to like the hot twa girl and things like that. But there's no response to my statement. People who are more progressive, leftist, liberals in general, I don't think that anyone is asking for people to be made ugly. And whenever I've asked someone who is conservative or, right-leaning about this, they don't really have an answer for me. They don't have an answer. Why do you think that people like myself, why do you think that we would want people to look ugly on purpose? Give me an explanation that makes sense. Why would we want that? That doesn't make any sense. And there's no value in that. There's no value in purposely making people ugly.
Like there is clearly some disconnect happening here.
Because back in the day, you would be able to have those discussions without fear for somebody telling you that it was a sign of greater misogyny or it had something to do with unrealistic beauty standards. There was a certain level of frivolity that could be had around that topic that's just not allowed, that oftentimes is not done anymore.
Okay, so you said not allowed, and then you caught yourself because you know that's not true. Like, you can have those conversations. You guys have had it here on your show. Other people have had it. You just don't like that other people have an issue with the topic being discussed in that way. The reality is, the last time I looked, and if you're in the comments, you want to fact check me on this, you can. Scratch that. I just went and looked it up. It's something like 79 to 80% of women around the world have body issues. And it leads them, like a percentage of them, to have unhealthy habits around their body. And I've done some like back and forth with websites to find out the proper information, because that's the thing is these guys won't do this. They won't actually look this up because it takes the fun out of it. Nearly 1 in 2 women compare the way they look to a Barbie doll. And this article goes on to break down like all of the different issues that we have. 88% of women have had a Barbie doll growing up, and it significantly influenced how they feel about their bodies. Nearly 1 in 2, 45% have compared the way they look to a Barbie doll. The most common body parts women compare are their waist, followed by legs, hair, and chest. And all of this stuff comes from this kind of like pointless banter about beauty standards, about how you want someone else to look a certain way and that you place value on that person because of the way they look. And I get it. It's not necessarily a fun conversation to have, but that's what being an adult is. It's recognizing that there are things you can joke about. There are things you can have fun with, but some topics are more serious. And this is the same kind of bullshit that you guys do on your show, where you take topics that are unserious and you make them seem like they are. But then we're talking about stuff like body image, unhealthy beauty standards, eating disorders, things like that. And don't bring that in here into our discussion about body image and how people look in lingerie, because that's too serious for us. That's like, those facts don't fact for us. They're not facting for us. Anyway, let's continue.
It has to always be a discussion about something that is deeper and more academic and lamer.
Well, I think
Well, the reason why is because it does affect people. You're sitting on here, and I've seen you guys do it. You've talked about how, Hollywood is injecting stuff into movies and TV shows that is subconsciously infecting the minds of everybody. How can you be on that vibe? How can you be on a vibe like that? But then when it comes to stuff like this, you're like, we're just talking. It's just a conversation, when there are studies done on this. There are actual legitimate studies, and there have been studies for decades on how this affects people. But you're ignoring all of that because you want to talk about how fat a woman looks in lingerie. You want to talk about how trans people and queer people shouldn't be walking down the runway. So therefore, all of that goes out the window. It's really telling. It's a huge double standard.
We're like mad about the lack of diversity in the conservative movement in that example. But let's keep.
So are you admitting there's a lack of diversity in the conservative movement? Is that what you're saying? That we're upset about the lack of diversity in the conservative movement, but you're not pushing back against the lack of diversity. Okay, let's go on. Next Top Model. If you ever watched that show, probably the biggest model competition in the world. Iterations of it all over the place. If you go back and you look now at some of the older seasons, you will see just how unhealthy the standards were. We're talking about
awesome.
Like body shaming, eating habits. Did she say it was awesome? It was awesome to project unhealthy beauty standards and unhealthy body types onto very impressionable viewers. You said it was awesome? Getting an eating disorder from being on a TV show is awesome? The amount of eating disorder stuff that happened on America's Next Top Model it's obvious, it's out there. If you ever watch the show, you would know. In season 9, Kimberly had issues with it to the point where I believe, if I remember correctly, she actually left the show because of dealing with the pressure of her eating disorder. What was it? Season 10? Yeah, I had to check. Season 10, Anya, who came in second place, struggled with an eating disorder. The show covered this for many, many, many cycles until they finally decided, hey, this is not healthy. So they started casting models of different shapes and sizes specifically to help steer the industry in a proper direction, in a healthy direction. There is absolutely no way you can say you're a fan of fashion, the fashion industry, America's Next Top Model. There's no way you can say this and be ignorant to the unhealthy beauty standards within that industry. There's no way. And if you're not paying attention to it, if you're ignoring it because it's not fun, then you are contributing to the issue. You're contributing to the problem. And you're free to do that. But you need to own up to it. Let's continue. Habits, just very unhealthy.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Okay.
Crazy.
To your point,
Crazy.
We are in the middle of the Ozempic apocalypse in Hollywood, which is just as unhealthy as
yes. And what do you think causes that, Brett? What do you think causes that? What do you think causes celebrities, models, musicians, whatever, to lose a ton of weight? What do you think that is? Brainiac, what do you think it is that caused them to do that? It is unhealthy beauty standards. You are arguing in favor of those standards, which leads to people taking stuff like Ozempic.
People not eating food. Nothing actually changes in any of these industries. They have shifted the focus onto progressive themes that try to paint them as good people in a way. But it doesn't mean that anything's any better in these businesses. If anything, I would say a lot of the virtue signaling that is done by these companies is done to cover up a more nefarious nature.
So you're admitting that the companies are pushing unhealthy things. You know they're nefarious. But somehow you also want them to go back to doing it under the guise of night. You want them to go back to pushing these unhealthy standards behind closed doors. Make it make sense.
I said, everything you see now is an advertise from a company. Everything that they advertise, it's some cause, whether it's climate change, whatever it may be. And if that's your marketing scheme, sure. But it belies the idea that you're allowed to just sell a product because it's a good product, rather than saying, not only should you buy this product, here's what we're doing for other people. And usually it's because they're actually, what was the thing that I just saw the meme today? It said, I would rather companies stop donating money to causes and just stop making products that are harming us. This was in relation to the food that we consume in this country.
So you're an activist against harmful things being sold with virtue connected to it? That's really ironic, considering your parent company is funded by Russia while you're sitting here trying to tell us things that are supposedly the truth. Why should we believe anything you're saying? It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing at this point. So you talked about projection earlier with me. This is projection. This is total projection.
So much of the food is basically poison right now.
Look, Brett, you're doing too much right now. None of these arguments are going to land with someone who's just obsessed with nitpicking, and he's not making arguments himself. He's just making a bunch of platitudes.
He's not.
I thought you weren't debunking me. I thought that wasn't the game we're playing. We're like, look, what, almost halfway through your video, and you said you were going to point and laugh. I haven't seen you laughing. I've seen you attempt to debunk me and not really debunk me. You just doubled down on the fact that you want to see people have eating disorders. That's what you've done. And made all these arguments that I'm not making. Like whatever Brett's talking about, I'm not even discussing that in this video. And you misrepresented me at the beginning. So
he's not, he hasn't said anything ultra offensive yet.
Well, let's keep listening
as an
then.
industry. And what they've tried to do is pull back a little bit on that unhealthy environment. And so we're not seeing everyone look like copy paste of each other.
They're not doing that for positive reasons. They're not doing that because corporations just developed a conscious.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. When we talk about things happening for the good, it doesn't matter why it happens. This is the same, like you argue that corporations are evil. They're evil corporations. I'm not going to disagree with you. I think most corporations in general are pretty shitty, right? So we're talking about the fact that corporations are evil. But then you also are saying that corporations are doing virtuous things to help people by increasing access to diversity and DEI and all of these programs. So it's like you're arguing from two different positions. Are corporations doing things for the betterment of people because they truly believe in that? Or are they doing it because they're evil corporations and the end result is still positive for humanity? Which one of those things is it? It can't be both of those things.
Just all of a sudden.
It's called toxic empathy and toxic positivity. That's like,
there's no, like, how do you even, you're going to argue there's no such thing as toxic masculinity, which is, I'm assuming, why that phrase even exists, toxic empathy. Can you explain to me the negative ramifications of toxic positivity and toxic empathy? Could you please explain that to me in a way that makes sense?
oh yeah, we totally like want to include all the fat girls, but I'm going to keep being skinny. That's what it is.
In the modeling industry. What difference does that make? In the fashion industry. Zero. And so they're acting as if they want to go back to like objectifying and causing women to have these unhealthy standards of beauty.
Women were the target demo for the Victoria's Secret fashion show. They loved watching it.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought you said women and men were the target. That they both loved it. I thought that's what you said earlier. Now you're saying that it's just women. That's really interesting. You shifted quick on that one.
Now they're not watching it. So
I'm not talking about people that don't want to go to the gym or anything like that. I'm talking about the idea that you have to be a sample size. Every woman has to be sample size, which is extremely unhealthy. Not every person's body is designed to look that way.
But not every corporation has to cater to every woman's body size.
Examples? What corporations would be the most beneficial from catering to women of all body types? 7-Eleven? Burger King? The shoe store? No. Clothing manufacturers, companies that make garments for women would benefit the most from making more options available for women of different sizes. So you can go in at a size 0, a size 1, whatever it is, and buy lingerie, but you could also go in at any size and buy lingerie. You want those options to be there. And as a man who might be buying something for your wife, your girlfriend, your side chick, whatever, you want to be able to go in and find something for that person as well. You want those options to be there. I don't see how you can argue against capitalism when you literally have money shooting out in front of you during your streams. One of your gimmicks is money, 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 money shooting out in front of you while your stream is going on. And here you are arguing against a company that is trying to figure out a way to make more money. I also want to point out that you nor I know the ins and outs of how this company runs. We don't know. They have people that are paid on their staff to figure out how to maximize the amount of money they can make, to increase their revenue, to increase their sales, to act as if either of us know what the inner workings of this company are based on what they value, what their principles are, is extremely ignorant and stupid. So we can't even really argue from that point because we don't know. We don't know what that initiative is for them when it comes to their finances. But I will say this, to act like a company that's sole interest is making money, which is what you just argued a few minutes ago, that these companies that their sole interest is making money off of people, to argue that they would then implement things that don't make them money, that seems completely opposite and against and opposing the argument that you're making right now. It just seems totally against that.
That's all I'm saying.
Victoria's Secret offers those sizes. It doesn't mean that they need to show it on the runway.
Yeah.
Oh, so here we are. It goes back to the idea that it's okay to be trans. It's okay to be gay. Just keep it in the closet. We don't want companies or corporations to let you know that we have these products. You have to dig and find them for yourselves because you should be ashamed of the kind of person you are. These companies should revel in you being ashamed by hiding you away. No, that's dumb.
No one wants to see that shit. And I have to be honest, no, not every woman needs to be sample size, which refers to 0 or 2, usually.
Okay.
But absolutely no woman is designed to be a size 16. There is no natural.
Okay, so pushing back against my statement that not everybody's body type should be a 0, she says not everybody should be 16, size 16. You're absolutely right. Not everyone's body type is where they want it to be. But the other option of that is walking around with no way to get clothing or to look nice. Literally, you want them to look like these dowdy, unattractive people because in your minds, that's how they already look. So the fact that they have the option to feel good about themselves, which possibly incentivizes them to go even further to make themselves look better and feel better, to you, that shouldn't be an option for them because you've decided that's unattractive. Remember, you said no one wants to see them. You said no one wants to see them. That is hyperbole. It's just not true. There's an entire industry built around diverse body types and objectification of people with diverse body types. So that's just an untrue statement.
Healthy version of being a size 16. Let's continue.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of bullshit that these guys pretend is good for the world. And it's just not. It's not.
It's no longer okay. So I saw some positive takes. Friend of the show, Andrea Mew, said 6 years of woke. He gave you props
from coming back
in a minute here.
Morgan said the world is healing. Victoria's Secret fashion shows are back. We want the angels, not LGBTQ plus obese models.
I'm sorry, but modernity was always going to push this over the edge. This was never going back to what it was.
Another.
Is he straight? My gaydar is going crazy right now. And for people that are not aware what gaydar is, it's like a gay.
Wait, who doesn't know what gaydar is?
Yeah, everyone's heard of that.
On our own. Like it's like pheromones.
Well, that's very rude on his part to do such.
I think
rude.
Bear Daddy Supreme just has a tendency to assume things.
That's
are
very
giving off
rude.
vibes for me. And it's a little weird because this is about Victoria's Secret and sex appeal, and they're so adamantly against it. It's giving like self-hatred a little bit.
It's giving self-hatred.
What does he mean we're against it? No, we were saying that we want the best thing for the company would be to go back to promoting actually hot models, not social justice related topics and body positive models.
Well, there was no social justice in that. Like that's a dumb statement. There's no social justice in it. These are all buzzwords. They just decided to diversify their model types so they could sell more garments to people. That's it. That's literally it. Regardless of whether or not the company thinks they're virtue signaling, regardless of all of that, the people that design the garments, the designers of these garments are doing so with all body types in mind. And that's it. That's the gist of it.
Is all that was being said.
And models who are biologically male.
And let's be fair here, guys.
Transphobia. I don't like, again, I'm not saying that, I want to point this out because a lot of people in the comments get this confused. When I say someone is committing transphobia or saying something transphobic, that doesn't mean that I'm accusing them of being those things. anyone at any time can commit an act of this thing without being that thing. So don't even try and say that, oh, he's saying she's a transphobe. I didn't say that. She could be, she allegedly, but talking about like trans women that way is transphobic.
When we talk about this stuff, Mary finds this topic very, very interesting. I don't think
you're kind of just along for the ride. It's weird that you're getting most of the heat, but let's see what he has to say.
Who looks like someone that does adult content for a living, but only does it for money. So you're not going to catch him with a boyfriend. And the one down on the end there, maybe it is projection. Maybe I should start doing that. Maybe I should do that. That's a good idea. Mary's her name. Mary. That's a good idea. Maybe. Hold on. Let me look up his socials. All right. So here's his socials. Holy crap. I want to remind you guys, this is a Tim Pool funded pop culture discussion podcast. So it's no surprise that they take this angle with everything. But yeah, he's giving me like I'm on Grindr.
The best part here,
I don't know if he is or not. Is he out?
This guy might have a thing for you.
Yeah,
I think he might like
Brett
you.
Is out or not? Because this is definitely giving me those kinds.
He would swipe right.
All right, back to this.
The best part there is like
would not swipe right, Mary. That would not happen.
So I used to have the same old like Timcast picture, like of Mia as the background, as my profile picture.
Yeah.
And I changed it. And it was a whole thing between me and Olivia where she's like, "Oh, I love your new profile picture." I'm like, she's like, "Why did you change?" I'm like, "Look, it was a moment of whimsy." That was literally the word that was used.
He was like, "It's giving whimsical."
Yeah, it is giving whimsical.
Okay, move to like 15 minutes in, and we'll see a little bit more of.
I think he had a crush on me.
I think it's so too. I think Bear Daddy Supreme likes Brett.
Why can't it be
also
this
he's framing it like it's a bad thing. Like he's framing it
right.
like
it's like if you're
being
gay,
rude to, he was framing it like being gay is bad, which is
it's called throwing shade. That's what I was doing. I was throwing shade because the one thing that your community finds offensive is gay. You use gay as an insult quite often. So I would assume that anyone who is self-conscious about themselves would be a little unsettled by the way they present themselves to the public. Tongue-in-cheek joke. It was throwing shade at something that my community does quite often. Was not meant to be taken seriously. But look, I guess you guys are the only ones that are allowed to make any kind of jokes. I should probably censor myself or be less offensive, I suppose, because clearly making a joke like that is not allowed. But calling trans women biological men and saying negative things about trans people being allowed to exist in the Victoria's Secret's fashion show, that's cool, but a little harmless in-community joke from me is not. That's interesting. It's an interesting standard, I have to say.
It's weird because I don't think that there's anything wrong with being gay, but he's using it as some type of attack on me, which doesn't really make any sense because I don't really have a problem with gay people.
Look, it makes perfect sense to me. So he thinks you're a homophobe, right? I'm actually the homophobe here, but he thinks you're homophobic. So he is going to.
Also, she admitted it. I don't even have to say it. She admitted to it, but that could be a joke. It could be a joke. No, I didn't even think you guys were going to watch the video. So I didn't think that deeply about it, to be honest. I really didn't. It was kind of a video I made again when I was bored. And you somehow you stumbled on it. So you were thinking way too deep about my in community humor.
Accuse you of secretly being gay because he views that as like a shameful thing to be. But it's weird because if you say something racist against like black people, no one accuses you of secretly being black.
Well, here's the thing, because I'm a gay person, so making gay jokes like that kind of comes with the territory. You see the difference in that? Like if a trans person made a joke about trans people, I'm sure that the people in their community would understand that. They would get it. And those people who are outside of the community would go, should I be laughing at that? It makes you feel a little bit uneasy. That's kind of how that works. But you're making a big deal about very throwaway gag in my video, which I think is absolutely funny. This is the group that's supposed to be what is it? Facts over feelings stuff, that they're not supposed to be offended by anything, but somehow my joke got under their skin, I guess. All right.
Black.
Oh, by the way, the fact that it got under her skin is funny to me. He doesn't seem to care much about it, but the fact it got under her skin is quite funny to me.
It's just the
weird
most
because
bizarre argument.
I mean, I guess he probably just doesn't watch the show much other than the clip because we've spoken at length on multiple occasions. Look, I am just as liberal as anybody was 10 years ago. I still am in most respects.
That doesn't mean anything. You can be a liberal and still uphold different viewpoints. Like communities are not like when it comes to political alignment, it's not monolithic. Like it's not like every single liberal person. There's a checklist of things that we all agree on. We don't. It comes down to the bigger points, the bullet points of what each community thinks about when it comes to your political divide. And you used to be like 10 years ago, meaning the whole liberal community has changed quite a bit in 10 years. So that doesn't really mean anything. And you're right. I don't watch the show all the time. I've seen multiple clips of you guys. But I'm not going to consume, 6 to 12 hours a week of your content just because I don't like to watch it. Why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense. You're making assumptions about me too, like the end joke here of the Bear Daddy Supreme and all this other stuff. You don't watch my content either. So I could just throw that right back at you. Like that doesn't really mean anything.
Thinking that beautiful women should be the front line of the Victoria's Secret fashion show.
Beauty is subjective.
That makes you a Christo-fascist.
No, it's subjective. Beauty is subjective. If I were to get into what I find beautiful, you might disagree with me. If I were to say, I find this specific thing beautiful to me, this is what I love to see. If I were to say that, it would be most likely, I can almost guarantee it would be different from what you find beautiful. That doesn't mean that either of us are right or wrong when it comes to that, which is why offering other options on the runway of a fashion show seems like a no-brainer. But you guys want to censor stuff. I don't want censorship. I'm arguing against that. Make everything diverse. Say whatever it is you want to say. Do all these things. Like, I don't have an issue with any of that. You're arguing against that, not me.
In a liberal position, if anything, I would imagine that the farthest right would think that the Victoria's Secret fashion show shouldn't exist at all.
Also, in the description of this video, he says, join the revolution, become a part of the Ericverse today. Help us fight back against the algorithm that funnels negative content to potential fans.
Well, what does that mean? Like,
it doesn't mean anything.
No, it means exactly what I'm saying. Your channels like yours and Tim's get preferential treatment on YouTube. I've actually done studies on this, but you wouldn't know that because you don't watch my content. So I'm going to forgive you for your ignorance. If you go and you open an incognito tab, you go and you open one and you search up certain topics, a lot of the negative content gets funneled to the top. The fact that you found my content most likely has something to do with my content intermingling with the negative content, meaning that it is breaking down the algorithm that YouTube has. It's a very simple concept. And either you're too ignorant to understand that, which I doubt, you do understand it, but you don't want to admit that you're producing negative content.
The thing is, like, we cover this stuff. I would like to think that most of the time we have a pretty reasonable and even keel discussion. Even if we take one side of the aisle as far as our approach, we don't approach any of this stuff in bad faith. And we have a discussion about a bunch.
Well, I never called you guys bad faith. I never said that about you. If you got that impression from my video, it wasn't the impression. I don't necessarily know if it's in bad faith. And bad faith would insinuate that I understand that you are saying things that are different from the positions you hold. Over time, I've determined that's a really hard thing to determine when it comes to YouTube commentary. So I've never said that either of you were bad faith. But she admitted to being a homophobe. So unless she was joking, you're sitting next to a self-admitted homophobe.
Topics. He clearly disagrees with us, which is fine. That's his business. Me and you disagree with stuff all the time, but to pretend like your content isn't also doing the same thing, we're dunking on celebrities who say stupid stuff. You're dunking on us because you think us dunking on celebrities that say stupid stuff is bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know, pick your poison. Do you want to follow the channel that covers celebrities doing stuff, or do you want to follow the channel that covers the celebrities covering? That covers the people covering celebrities.
That's interesting. It always comes down to that. I will say this, like, it doesn't matter. When it comes to relevancy and what your opinion is, It doesn't matter the amount of following you have. You could find person with 10 followers, 10 subscribers, whatever, that is the most based fucking person on YouTube. But if YouTube does not help lift that person up, they're not going to get the outreach that other people have. I don't think of either of you as celebrities. You are both people that are willing to take Russian-funded money from Tim Pool and make borderline propaganda content for YouTube covered up by pop culture. Because that's the only reason why Tim Pool would fund this show. That part I'm 100% certain about. 100% certain about. There's just no way. I'm not that dumb. I think a lot of people watching my content and watching your content are not that dumb to know that. So I don't believe that. That I don't believe. I think you know exactly what you're doing when it comes to the type of content you're making.
Doing dumb
He's
stuff.
not exactly doing the positivity, the work for positive content, because, you know, if he wanted to fight back against negative content in the algorithm, he would create, instead of a commentary video on our channel, he would record a 32-minute long video praising the Victoria's Secret fashion show for how great and beautiful and inclusive and diverse it was.
Well, in my video, I talk about that, but you're not going to cover that. You've only got 2 minutes left here. In the back half of my video, I give all kinds of praises to them. All kinds of praises. I talk about the amount of money they've made by doing this, the positive impact it has. I've talked about, I gave shout outs to the designer of their line, a gay man married with a family who's going to be designing their 2025 line. I talk about all that in the video. So again, you're misrepresenting me. You're misrepresenting my content. You're misrepresenting my channel. You didn't even watch enough of my video to get to that point. So if you're going to chastise me for not knowing everything about your content, then I'm going to throw the same thing back at you. And the thing about it is, it was all included in that one video. So you didn't even have to watch my whole channel. You could have just watched my entire video. But you won't do that because you were trying to frame me a certain way on your channel, which is exactly the criticism I have about the content that you guys make in general. It is about narrative. It's about framing. It's about misrepresentation. And that is what you've done with my video. And you said reacting to some of our biggest haters. Again, 2 minutes left in your video, and I'm the only person that you've talked about.